Welcome to Financial Buzz Market Weekly. I'm RK Walker here at the New York Stock Exchange, bringing you a review of this week's stock market. On Monday, markets led by the tech sector rallied strongly on news that online sales hit records for both Thanksgiving Day and the day after, also known as Black Friday. The Dow Industrials ended the day up 354 points. On Tuesday, the Case-Shiller home price index for September rose 0.3%, and consumer confidence for November declined 2.2 points to 135.7. A White House official mentioned that a lot of communication was happening with the Chinese government in an attempt to resolve trade differences. Markets were volatile all day, but the Dow Industrials ended up 108 points. On Wednesday, the second revision for third quarter GDP was unchanged at 3.5%, while the trade deficit for October was higher than expected at $77.2 billion, putting further downward pressure on the fourth quarter GDP. New home sales for October dropped a sharp 8.8% to an annualized 544,000 units, and the EIA petroleum status report for the week ending November 23rd saw crude oil inventory rise 3.6 million barrels. Fed Chair Jerome Powell gave a speech mentioning that current rates are just below the neutral range, and markets interpreted that as meaning the Fed might be reconsidering reducing the number of future hikes. Markets soared on optimism, with the Dow Industrials finishing 617 points higher and the Nasdaq Composite jumping almost 3%. On Thursday, jobless claims for the week ending November 24th increased 10,000 to 234,000. Personal income for October increased 0.5%, while consumer spending increased 0.6%, and the PCE price index increased 0.2%. Markets ended the day down slightly as new concerns emerged that China-U.S. trade differences won't be resolved at the G20 summit. On Friday, markets rose slightly after open as investors waited to see how trade issues with China progressed at G20. Now let's take a look at some stocks. Salesforce.com reported its third quarter financial results on Tuesday and topped analyst estimates, sending shares up 5.4% at the opening bell on Wednesday. Salesforce reported revenue of $3.4 billion, jumping 26% year over year, and earnings per share of 61 cents, beating estimates of 50 cents. Nutanix Inc. shares spiked by 10% on Tuesday after hours after it topped estimates for its fiscal first quarter results. Nutanix reported a loss per share of 25 cents on revenue of $313 million. The company is planning on undergoing a transition to phase out its hardware business and shift towards software-based products with recurring subscription revenue. Tiffany & Co. reported its financial results on Wednesday, sending shares 9.6% lower. Tiffany reported weaker than expected earnings due to lower spending from tourists in the U.S. and Hong Kong. For the quarter, Tiffany reported earnings per share of 77 cents on revenue of $1.1 billion. Tilly's Inc. reported its financial results after the closing bell on Wednesday and missed earnings estimates, sending shares plummeting by 20% on Thursday. For the quarter, Tilly's earned 24 cents per share on revenue of $146.8 million. Comparable store sales rose 4.3%. Abercrombie&Fitch reported its quarterly results before market open on Thursday and topped analyst estimates, sending shares soaring by 20%. The better-than-expected results were delivered as a result of its subsidiaries strengthening in the U.S. and the exposure of its Hollister brand. For the quarter, Abercrombie had earnings per share of 35 cents on revenue of $861 million. This is Financial Buzz Market Weekly. I'm RK Walker, and I'll see you again next week.